Welcome back, everybody. This is the Worrior podcast. I'm your host, Luis Galvez, and with me is my co-host,
Marisol Galaviz. Hello, everybody.
All right, let's just jump right into it. I got something straight off, like the hot pan.
Oh, God.
I got a rant about this. So,
This has got the tea today, everybody.
I recently listened to a podcast. It's the official podcast, at the official podcast. So, it's just like these gamers that were talking about, what is it,
It's called the official podcast?
It's literally called the official podcast.
Okay, that's not narcissistic at all. Anyway.
Hey, nobody took it, so they took it.
Sorry. Okay, keep going.
So, they're talking about this current, like, they usually just talk about, like, what is it, like, current events, either in the gaming or YouTube industry. And they're talking about, like, the Sniper Wolf incident about her doxing some other big YouTuber, just literally showing up at his house, like, outside the doorstep and be like, hey, yo, if we got internet beef, like, what you gonna do about it? Yeah, what you gonna do about it? But, like, that's the thing, because he has, like, 5 million to, like, 15 million on YouTube. So everybody knows where that guy lives now. So, like, that's just, like, security. He has a girlfriend. He has, like, people that come and go in his house. So that's just, like, security risk. Because, like, why would you want, like, your address to be out publicly?
Ask any rapper that's put his address out on the internet.
Oh, my goodness.
Actually, you can't.
Yeah, no.
You can't because
they're dead.
Exactly. Like, as morbid as it sounds, like, that's the risk that you're willing to take putting your information on the internet.
Well,
like
yeah.
that. Especially if you're a public figure.
Especially.
You know?
Especially if, like, you make, like, controversial content. You're on the hit list.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they were on that topic, but in, like, the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes of that podcast, they went into a topic that I felt they were not qualified at all to talk about. They talked about why pit bulls just should be just genocided. Like, they should be, like,
just
killed
completely
off.
wiped off.
Yeah, like, wiped off the planet. I'm like,
no way.
Why? Like, what is your reasoning? And they're trying to reason it like they're genetically bred to kill. And I'm like,
Hold up. And Luis was like, hold on, sit down and let me spit you some real facts today. That's what we're doing here today, ladies and gentlemen.
For me, I was just trying to, like, I was fuming. I was hearing it. I was listening to it. I'm like, balling my fists up. I was, like, clenching my hands. I was, like, just about to throw off my headphones, just start punching stuff.
Punch in the air. Oh.
Yeah, because they sounded so ignorant to a person that actually did, like, just scratch the surface of, like, how, like, researching and dog training and dog breeds. No dog is bred to be killer. Like, they're not bred to kill. Like, they're bred to do certain things. Like
certain
Australian shepherds are to help shepherd the sheep, and those are in their instincts. Maybe pit bulls or drive off terriers that were, bred to. They were bred to just hunt little animals, rabbits, mice in the barn, and they were bred that, and they're just made bigger and muscular and stronger jaws.
Exactly, and that goes for any breed. Even Chihuahuas. As much as, some people hate those little ankle biters, they were bred to do something specific in this world. I might not know what it is.
Yeah,
Luis,
no, they were bred to eat mice.
Oh,
and, like, in farmhouses.
Who better to do
in
that?
Mexico.
They
were bred to eat mice, like, because there was, like, a mice problem in Mexico. Like, they, not best, like, agricultural, like, buying mice traps is not as viable as just getting a dog that's small enough to just eat the mice. So, like, all right, your food is eating the mice. Your water is that little puddle over there. Survive. And it just happens, it just happens like that. But, like,
going back to what you said about
there's 4 members in the podcast, and there's 3 of them that were just agreeing that pit bulls should not exist at all. I'm like,
that is a very black and white statement to say.
Very black and white. It's like there's so much gray in there that you can't ignore.
And each pit bull is different. Each and every pit bull is different. I have never met 2 pit bulls that are exactly alike. Like, even siblings. Like, you have met siblings that are like, whoa. You guys are not from the same family at all, because they're completely different. Just like people, they have their different personalities, and there's a lot of contributing factors to what makes a pit bull.
Yeah.
Because,
like,
a pit bull.
A pit bull is not a standardized breed in the U.S. To the AKC, American Kennel Club, they're not a registered breed. So they don't have a definite, like, what they're supposed to look like, how they're supposed to act, their temperament, all
There's a
that.
lot of sub breeds
No,
for pit bulls,
there is
right?
so many. There's American Bully. There's a Stafford Tire. There's a Stafford Tire.
Staffordshire, I think.
Staffordshire mix pit bull, and there's American Pit Bull Terrier, and from there's
Different
there's like
sizes.
thousands of different subcultures, and pit bulls can be mixed with husky. They can be mixed. They're like the mutt of the mutts. They're mixed with everything.
Literally everything. Like first time I saw a corgi pit bull mix on the internet, I lost my shit. Like I'm not even gonna try to be funny here. Like I was like, this is an actual breed, and they're out there. They are out there, and they're just as
Yeah.
lovable as any other pit bull. Let me just say.
So back to the point. They were saying like just genocide, and like, okay, you're seeing it from one statistic, and they're just bringing up the one statistic that pit bulls, like, the past year had 253, like around 200 bites, and like the leading up, like big aggressive dog was Rottweilers with 8, and I'm like, well, Rottweilers are so easily distinguishable. They're black and they're orange. Pit bulls can variety of so many different like so many different dogs, like breeds.
You can't tell them right off the
Like,
bat.
but if they have floppy ears or if they look a certain way, oh, they're labeled as a pit bull, even though the majority of their genetics is either Labrador or, you know, other things.
Bulldog.
Like an English bulldog. They're not. They're not as like, what do you call it? They're not
As
labeled as an
aggressive.
aggressive breed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Just because of that statistic, you're gonna base off and just railroad through the whole other logic about.
It's a huge stereotype to put on one breed of like pit bulls. I feel like are one of the biggest population of breeds out there. Like even if you don't know it or not, probably your dog has a pit bull ancestor somewhere in the family, right?
Oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do that with pit bulls, then why not just do that with every aggressive breed there is? There's German Shepherds, there's Belgian Malinois, there is other dogs that are more capable, faster, and more intelligent that could be more dangerous to society.
Yep.
But the thing is, they're standardized, and like okay,
They have
like,
less of a
like
stigma, I feel like,
Akitas,
put on them.
they're still aggressive breeds.
Yes, and not a lot of people think
Well,
of
they're not
Akitas,
aggressive
like,
breeds. They're
yeah.
stereotypical aggressive breeds because they're big and they're strong and they're high energy. That is what basically labels as an aggressive breed. And when that energy is not calmed or trained to be controlled, they're just labeled aggressive because if they can't,
I
I
mean,
can go
just
on
like
and on
any
about it.
other human, think about this. If you have crackhead energy and you're confined to a small space of 500 square feet each and every day, and you're meant to be of like 50 acres worth of land, like wouldn't you lose your shit too? I mean, like realistically, think about it. Like there's a lot of things, like you said, a lot of nature, a lot of nurture, the environment that they're in, the stress that they're in, how they were raised, how they were brought up, the family, the care. Like I just there's a lot of factors. You can't just really say, just get rid of all these pit bulls. Like that's
there's
a
a
little
word for that.
KKK-ish to
There's just,
me.
yeah, no, it's basically dog breed discrimination.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what, Denver, Colorado, they have a legislative law that, like, you'll have to. They're very biased against aggressive breeds. Akitas, Rottweilers, German Shepherds, any big dog that is capable of injuring people, they just label aggressive breed, and then they don't allow those in apartments. They don't allow them.
Yeah, they're very strict.
They're very strict on that.
About those certain breeds, and they enforce that very, very heavily. I know in Denver County, I don't know about in other counties, but in Denver County, they heavily fine those. You know, if they know you have some kind of pit bull breed, even if it's just a mixture, like that's it.
Yeah, and so those three, and like out of those four, three of them made just points of genocide, and like they were born to kill. And I'm like, all right, no dog's born to kill. They were raised to kill.
Yeah.
No baby is born to kill. Hitler was a baby and like, oh, I'm gonna kill all the Jews.
Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna grow up to just
he was
genocide.
certain circumstances in life led him to that. Same thing with pit bulls and certain dog breeds. If they're not raised right, and if they're not trained right, and if they're not had the same good temperament, and you don't know how to control their energy, they're gonna lash out and they're gonna go nuts because they have a capability of going nuts. So I only agreed with one person on that podcast, and he was my favorite guy because he had a pit bull mix. It's like, yeah, he understands a bit more that people that want pit bulls, people that want aggressive breeds, people that want like high energy, big dogs that can bite and do work, like working breeds, they should have a license for it and they should be trained to have it. Like same thing with a gun. Because
Absolutely.
a gun by itself, I'm going to get into some hot territory here. A gun by itself doesn't kill people. It's whoever wields it that does. So a dog by itself won't kill people. But a dog that's raised by the wrong person will.
Absolutely. If you're not educated, if you don't have the proper training, the proper knowledge, the proper resources to take care of a dog of, that caliber of energy, because if you, like you said, if you channel this energy and that potential in a positive way, your dog will be the most loyal dog ever. Like that dog will respect you and love you till the end of your days. But if you don't know what you're doing, that dog will run you. That dog will own you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I can say that it's safe to say we've had enough pit bulls to know, you can go on each side. We've had both. So we've had both. We've had the crazy ass pit bulls that you don't know how to control because they came from a bad family.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was a little too late for us because we didn't know.
We
didn't
just
know
were
how to
ignorant
handle
about
that.
how to take care of them. We don't know, like, oh, why are they lashing out? Maybe because they want to play and they needed energy released. Because admittedly, we weren't great dog owners before. But now that, I've had to do my own research about how to take care of dogs, especially big and energetic dogs. Like, if you don't exercise them, they're going to go ballistic.
Yeah. And I mean, when you got your dog, like, for those of you that don't know, Luis has a pit bull at home. His name is Atlas, and he is the biggest baby in the world. Okay. He is such a sweetheart. But there was a lot of care, a lot of energy, a lot of effort put into training that dog. Like,
so many hours,
sleepless nights, repetition, so much frustration, so many times that you were like, I cannot do this. But at the end of the day, you were like, if I put the time, the energy, the investment into this dog, he will return that to me.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. I've seen the way that dog listens to you, and he's like on your heels. You just give him that one look, and he's like, oh, yeah, all right, I got you, Dad,
I like the voice you say, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dad's looking at me.
Yeah. And honestly, like, he knows he can't get away with anything from Luis. Like, as soon as Luis walks in the room, he sits up a little straighter. He's like, oh, what's up, Dad? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
that comes from hours and hours of training and watching, I think, 1,000 hours worth of dog training videos just to understand the basics and, like, to have it as second nature to myself. Be like, okay, I understand how to take care of a dog decent enough where he won't attack people. He won't be a threat to anybody. He will be a good dog. He won't be like, he won't pass the good citizen canine test because, like, that's much more advanced for, like, dog. He would listen to you on a drop of a dime to anybody. But I haven't gotten there yet because it takes years.
Yeah.
Or just so much time on your time. But back to the topic that, like, these dogs, if you don't take care of them well, these pit bulls or any big, potentially aggressive dog, if you don't take care of them well, you don't educate yourself on how to, train them and how to exercise them, they're a risk. They're a risk to everybody. If you don't learn gun safety, you're a risk.
Exactly. Absolutely.
You're gonna shoot yourself and you shoot everyone else around you.
I mean, these dogs, like you said, if they're not trained properly, they are weapons. They are not to be taken lightly because they're powerful dogs.
They're powerful dogs. Yeah, like same thing. If you don't train a Chihuahua and you just feed it and give it water, what's the worst that can happen? It bites your toes. It's an ankle biter. But with pit bulls,
you could pick it up and put it somewhere. You can't really do that.
You eat it. But with the pit bull, if you don't know what you're doing, they bite chunks out of you. If you don't know, if you don't learn how to, like, teach them how to bite softly and stuff, which I really like my dog because he just, like, nibbles on your, like, little nails on your stuff. He's
cute. Like, anytime he gets like a tree out of my hand, he, like, uses his lips to, like, pick it up. He does not use his teeth because he knows the word gentle means gentle, and
but he wouldn't know that unless I taught him at a very young age. Like, because, like, I taught him, like, hey, don't bite. At a very young age, he bit and he made me bleed. If I didn't teach him other ways, he would have made me, he'd keep biting me and making me bleed. But I had to teach him how to be like, okay, you know what, relax. There's an easier way to do it. But,
I completely agree. And I think this is a subject, Luis, that you're very well educated and I think you're well versed in speaking about it. So
And it comes back to the point where it's like they shouldn't be talking like they're video game people. That's a video game podcast. They should be just talking about video games
yeah.
and whatever they're knowledgeable about. You know, I think they can like, you know, wander
It's
out
like
their
if
own
I
thing.
said, I think all video games should be banned forever off the planet.
It's
Or
like,
violent video games because they're bad influence on people. Like, no, you
Like,
know, some people do.
a time and place.
Exactly. Some people draw the line to it's a video game versus some people that don't know how
reality.
to, draw that line.
they go crazy.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was a very black and white statement to make, but thank you for giving us the facts, Luis, because it's so easy to go one way or the other. You know, it's really easy to be like, oh, aggressive, not aggressive, like.
And the problem is that with that stereotype, that has to be, you know, it's just ignorance that has to be controlled because the lack of knowledge is ignorant, and people don't know enough about pit bulls. They don't know about that pit bulls are actually, if they're well taken care of, they're just land hippos. They're just little seals. They just want to cuddle with you, and they just want all the attention in the world. But if you don't give them that, they feel like they're at danger, and then they get insecure about themselves, and that's when problems come up.
If they don't feel safe, they'll act like they're not safe, right? And they'll lash out.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, just like any human, you know, if you don't feel safe in a certain environment, you're not going to act normal. You're not going to act comfortable. You're not going to act chill.
You're going to be on edge.
You're going to be on edge. Right. I mean, so it's just putting it into perspective. So thank you, Luis. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. But it's so much.
It's all good.
Like, that's my rant. That is my soapbox. To be like, you don't know enough about pit bulls. Please, like, you know, take a step back.
Reel it back.
Like, relax. They're not killers. They're just dogs that misunderstood. And the stereotype with dogs is that people think, oh, they're bred to kill. They're strong dogs. And those people that want those dogs shouldn't have them.
Exactly. Because they mishandle.
They are associated with a certain stature, especially on the underground in criminal organizations, because they are very popular in dogfighting, and that's what they were originally bred for. They were originally bred from the English bulldog, the old English bulldog, not the English bulldog that can't do crap now, but the old English bulldog.
I like them bulldogs.
But they were actually capable. Of like, these dogs were bred to take down bigger animals,
Yes.
and they were put in bullfighting rings, basically, where there was a bull or there's a bear or there's a monkey, like a big chimpanzee or ape. That these dogs, they put like 10 of them, and they just have them fight in England, like in the old UK.
Oh my god!
In the 1800s.
Just
That's what
duke it
it was
out like
entertainment.
Fight Club style for
Yeah, it was
bulldogs.
basically, like the dogs that survived were the ones that could latch on and just hold the big animal down for the other ones to finish it off.
Oh.
And that's why they're misinterpreted to have that locked jaw. They just have very powerful jaws.
Yeah.
There are other dogs that have much more powerful jaws, but the stereotype that they have locked jaw is totally a myth. You know, there's the English Mastiff that has a much more pounds per square inch
Yeah.
bite that would snap your arm.
Yep. They could take
you
you
know,
down.
German Shepherds can snap your arm. Any other dog that's big, that's the same size or bigger, can easily have more bite force than these dogs. It's just there's just so much misinformation. And the thing I like about these dogs is these were very popular for dog fighting and bullfighting rings.
Okay.
In the underground is because they did not turn on their owner. Throughout all the abuse, they were loyal to their owners to the end. Like, that's why they're associated to be loyal, because
that's why people get them in the first place, because they're like, oh yeah, this dog is gonna hold it down for me.
But the thing is, if you don't teach them that, like, they'll associate that you are their friend and your family. But if you don't teach them how that everyone else is your family, they'll find everyone else a threat, that's where problems come up.
Yeah.
So it's just
Just
knowledge.
knowing
It's just
your
knowing.
dog too.
Just
I
doing
mean,
a little
every
bit of
dog
research.
is different too. You know, like, and you might find, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you might find that some tactics that work on like your neighbor's pit bull don't work on your pit bull. You know, so maybe you have. I know Luis's dog Atlas is he's a very unique little guy. I shouldn't say little, but
He's a big boy.
He's a quirky boy. He's a special boy.
He's a cat and a pit bull body.
He really is, you know. And there are some dogs that just don't act like that, that are there just 100% all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they are truly, truly crackhead energy, like
Oh yeah.
on all the time, running around, wanting to play, wanting to just be on you and be with you 24/7. And if you don't have that lifestyle, you know, some people like that.
To like go
Some,
on runs with them, take them out to a big field if you don't have a big backyard.
yeah,
You shouldn't own those.
exactly.
Just get a little chihuahua or just get a lazy dog at that point.
Get a dog that fits your lifestyle.
That's exactly right.
Like me personally, I have a little Italian girl. She's cute. She's a senior, so she fits my lifestyle. We both like to nap and chill and be kind of sedentary together,
yeah.
and that's what works for me. And she
yeah.
likes that, you know. Sometimes if I'm too high energy for her, she's like, "Come on, can you like tone it down a little bit?" Like,
Excuse me.
I
You're
haven't
up
really
here.
woken
You're
up.
bring it down to here.
Yeah, yeah. And
Chillax.
it's
Cause like
just
that's how she acts. If any excitement happens, she starts barking like crazy, like "Arp, arp, arp, arp." Like, relax.
she likes to tone it down. Like if she's with Atlas or Rosie, Rosie is Luis's girlfriend's Frenchie.
bulldog.
Yes, French bulldog. And when the three of them get together, it is hilarious. It is hilarious because I tell you, like, not all dogs have different personalities. Like when I tell you, like, my dog, she is like the mom. She like she shushes them. If they get too loud, she's like, "Hey, chill out." If they get too high energy, she's like, stop it. And it's funny to see, but you know, everyone just needs to find the dog that fits their lifestyle too, because
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've learned how to incorporate Atlas into your lifestyle because you're
yeah.
very physically active. You like to go to parks, and you know, he
Play
equally
fetch,
likes to play fetch,
Go on walks, go on
Yep.
runs. Like you can't keep like a German cattle dog, not a German cattle, Australian cattle dog in an apartment, because Australian cattle dogs were meant to run. They were meant to herd cattle. They were meant to sprint and be very trainable. But if you don't do that, they get bored of their minds and then they develop destructive
The
behaviors.
destructive behavior. I've seen that so many times, especially when I used to live at my apartment complex, is I would see cattle dogs chilling on the balcony, and they would just walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I felt sad. I felt sorry for them because I'm like, they have the zoomies. You could tell they got the zoomies, and they want to sprint. They want to hop over that balcony, you know.
They want to
But
go.
they feel so helpless and desperate that they're just like back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, you need to run and be free.
Yeah.
And like Chihuahuas, they don't have that urge, you know. You have, or I should stop targeting Chihuahuas. I'm sorry. Like I like Dachshunds too. I'm recently a new Dachshund fan. All right, so shout out all the Doxy owners out there. Wiener gang for life. All right. But those dogs are more apartment friendly. They're more they don't require as much energy, as much maintenance, I think, physically, as maybe if you had two huskies in an
Oh,
800
goodness.
square foot apartment.
Don't
Like,
get me started with huskies.
man, first of all, the hair.
The hair.
The hair.
Second of all, the yelling.
Okay,
They
do they? I've
scream.
heard they yell. Do they do
They
yelp,
Scream
like husky yelps?
so much. They
Like,
scream.
like the internet videos where they like talk to you. They're like,
But most of the time, it's just straight up howling. It's straight up screaming in an
oh
apartment.
no.
You
Oh,
can't
no.
have huskies. You have to have them. Like you have to
Oh,
be
God.
in Canada, have huskies, because that's where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
In the cold.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be out in the snow. If you have a husky in Florida, you're doing them a disservice.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I haven't even thought about that. Like, oh, yeah, you have to really think about the background of your dog and the environment that it thrives in. Like, I feel like if you lived in northern Minnesota and you had like a hairless dog, that probably wouldn't be the best dynamic,
It'd be
right?
like you would be wearing jackets.
Yeah.
You'd be wearing booties. You'd be like, I ain't going outside. I'm staying in the house.
Yeah, could you imagine having like some kind of, you know, like a husky in like Arizona or something? Like, I'm sure they're
It's a
out
real
there.
thing. No, the people have them there.
Oh goodness.
And there's dogs that die of heat stroke because they
That's
just have like they have
awful.
double coats. Like they have double coats of
And they're
fur.
not meant to be in the.
No.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you are taking them out of their
Especially in like
environment.
Las Vegas and Arizona, Phoenix. Like the heat.
You can't even
waves
take
there.
them on walks.
You can't because the pavement
because of the
gets so
pavement.
hot.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a big industry over there where it's like basically
dog
like
booties.
not dog booties, but it's dog. Like you can't even take them out because if you go out on a walk, you're gonna die of dehydration before you make it like across a block.
Yeah, and that's you as a human.
All you're
like
doing is just running from AC building to AC,
AC
building. You're just going
building.
into your car, turning on the AC in your car, and then going from there to the AC building of like a grocery store and coming back. You're just running from AC to AC.
Can you imagine living in a town where you can't be outside except for at night?
Oh my
And even
god.
in at night, it's like 90 degrees. Like, hello, what
It's
is
beach
going
weather.
on? What is this inferno in the
Uh,
middle of the US? Like, no, thank you.
but there's a big industry for dog walkers that have treadmills for dogs. Yeah, and they do treadmills, and these dogs
Love
it.
it.
When they're trained to it, they just sprint for like minutes at a time, and then they're just exhausted, and they just go back home.
That is
They just waddle back home like I'm tired now.
hilarious. But that is actually a really, really good market. You know, if you think about it, like in those hotter cities, you cannot take them out, and that's for a good 6+ months out of the. I mean, even more. I'm just
Even
gonna.
in winter right
I
now,
would
it's
say in the
still
winter,
90 degrees,
yeah.
like 90, 80 degrees.
So a majority of the time, they have to be walked inside. I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, if you did have a high energy dog, for example, in a very hot city, you know, maybe somewhere in the south.
A lake or a beach, that's all you can do.
Yeah, how would you exercise them or take them out? Like,
Just take them to they have to swim. They have to learn how to
okay,
swim, and they just swim,
okay.
and they just play fetch swimming. You guys seen
That
it in
makes
like
sense.
Utah, because it gets hot over there in Utah, Salt Lake City. And there's, especially with the big lakes, they just play fetch. They just have like an inflatable ball. They just throw it in there, and the dogs grab it and get it back.
Okay.
Especially like that.
Oh,
I've seen it. I've seen it at the parks nearby. Like they do sometimes. The
Yeah.
Palmer Lake Park, Monument Lake, and stuff like that.
yeah.
And they love it.
Yeah.
But it's like only certain dogs that are meant to it.
Because I've only
Atlas
seen
hates
dogs.
water.
Yeah, he hates water.
Rose
Does
loves
he
it.
like? Really?
She's a swimmer.
Interesting. How about snow? Does he like snow?
He loves snow. He eats it.
He
Just,
eats it.
he's chomping at it all the time.
Because I've seen some dogs that love the snow. I mean, my dog Missy, she hates it. She hates it. She will go outside to pee and come back inside. And like, she gets annoyed because she gets wet and she hates getting wet.
She like shakes her paws, just shaking them off.
Yeah. She like goes on her tiptoes and she's like, ugh, like I could not believe I'm out here. And it's hilarious because she's a sun baby. Like when it's nice outside, she likes to sunbathe on the deck, and that's her thing.
Lay out,
That's her thing.
sunbathe,
Yeah.
get those UV rays.
And I've noticed that Atlas can't do that for very long without getting red.
Mm-hmm.
Like he literally gets red,
Oh, yeah.
and he finds the nearest shade because he gets too hot.
Yeah, I have to put sunscreen on them, especially with a white dog. You have to put sunscreen. I never thought we had to get sunscreen for a dog, but until I got Atlas, I'm like, oh, I gotta get sunscreen.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
like, gonna be outside for more than 2 hours. All right, just rub it into his coat.
Reapply.
Yeah, reapply. Put in his eyes. Put on his head. Put on his ears.
That's funny. He's the high maintenance kind
High
of
maintenance. And
doggy.
then on the other side of the spectrum, Rose, that I'm taking care of right now, the French Bulldog, such an easy dog to take care of. She is so low energy. She has nothing going on that little brain of hers. She just wants to chew on toys and then just mess with Atlas.
She's like,
and then
"Food?
just chill.
Play? Ugh. Yeah, honestly, like when I first met Rosie, I was like, oh no, another puppy in the house. Like, this is gonna be crazy. But like, as you guys have like raised her and like kind of trained her, I'm like, I love her. She is so cute. Like you said, like she's literally in her own little world, like rolling on her back, like just laying out, like her tongue sticking out. Like she's just like,
Oh my
love
God.
me.
Oh, I gotta tell you, especially because it's in hot, and you can't have French Bulldogs anywhere in the heat because they just have a breathing problem. They like genetically their nose is pushed in all the way, so they can't cool themselves. So that's why French Bulldogs love water. 'Cause they just drink it, and then like they put their like they get their whole body wet, so it cools them off because they can't sweat. So they cool off their skin, and it helps cool their internal body temperature off.
So they don't get the little wet noses like the other dogs, or oh my goodness, that's crazy. That's funny. Rosie's hilarious.
She is.
She's funny.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
man. But well, that was a good.
Hey, hold on.
What's up?
I got some more to say. You've been reading some books. We've been going to the library more, right?
Yes.
We're recording at the library right now.
You.
Hello, can you
Yes.
tell by the quality?
Hello, can you tell
It goes
by
from
the
like
quality?
480p to like 4K right now.
That's hilarious. We're gonna have to keep up this level of quality.
Hey, somehow, you know. It's gonna be once a month podcast videos, huh?
And then every other one is gonna be like, "Hey guys, just recording on my iPhone today because couldn't get a reservation at the library." You know, but
That's
you gotta
true.
do what you gotta do.
Man, I wish they had more studio podcasts. Because, man, these podcasts are
Awesome.
so awesome.
Just hearing
So
myself
awesome.
right now, I'm floored. This is
Mm-hmm.
excellent. This is excellent, by the way.
Back to the
Feel
library.
real fancy.
We've been getting some books, haven't we?
Yeah, maybe too many books. Like my
Oh
eyes
my
get too
goodness.
big for my actual reading capacity.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, oh yeah, let me grab these 36 books.
So you
And
just,
then 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh my god, I
I
have to
haven't read any
return
of
all
them.
of these. Yeah, and I get really sad because I try to keep track of which ones that I need to, either renew or go check out again when they
Oh,
become
yeah.
available. And but I talked to you about a little strategy that I do, right?
No?
With books that I find particularly interesting as I go through the
Oh,
table
yeah.
of contents. So I'm like, I'm like a skim reader,
Mm-hmm.
and if I have a lot of books because ADHD and I'm interested in literally everything, so I'm like, yeah, let me get all of these books. So what I do is I go in the table of contents and I just skim to see like what is interesting, like what topics really stick out to me, and I either
Right.
make a sticky or I make a note, and then I'll go to that chapter and I make sure
Oh.
that like before I move on to the next book, I try to read that entire chapter if it's not too long.
Mm.
But I'll read that chapter, and if like things stick out to me in that chapter, I'll make a note of those topics. So when I go back to the library, guess what I'm looking for? Those
Those
topics.
topics.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
That's a hack right there. Oh my goodness.
Because, I mean, I'm still trying to get the education, but there are certain things that I need to focus on. So if I have a whole book on personal development, personal improvement, but I'm really trying to focus on my fitness, guess what? I'm opening the table of contents and I'm looking to see which like chapter is based on fitness. And then I'll go and I'll read that. And then I'll move on to the next book. And if I find like a chapter in one book particularly interesting, I'll just keep finding more chapters in that book that I find interesting. But I don't like to go in order because all of the books that I get are typically nonfiction.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter what order you read the chapters in, I guess, as long as you're still getting the information
Yeah, like,
somehow.
there's a-
Fiction's different. You got to read that in order.
Oh,
But
yeah, you have to get it like Harry Potter series, all from the start to end, or else you'll be like, what the heck? What's the Goblet of Fire?
don't make any Harry Potter references, please, because I don't know what you're talking about. Don't come for me. Everybody in the...
I'm coming for you. I haven't read them either, so they come for me too.
Oh, yeah. That. Lord of the Rings.
But yeah, no, that's a very useful tactic because you want to read some books, but you don't know if they're good or not until you actually read through them.
Yeah,
But
and
then
starting
by
a
the
book is an
time-
investment. If
Oh,
you go
yeah.
chapter by chapter, you're like, I'm already in this.
Mhm.
I got to finish this book.
Oh yeah.
But I really wanted to get to chapter 33 because that's what they were talking about finances, and I really wanted to get to the finance chapter.
Oh yeah.
So I just really skip around, and I'll skim.
Mm.
I'll read the first and last sentences of the paragraphs that I find particularly interesting, and I'm like, all right, I don't know if it's just selective reading, if that's a positive thing or a negative thing, but it's kind of expanded my horizons on what things I like to read about and things that maybe I thought I liked and I started reading about, and I'm like, I don't know, it seems a little hard,
Yeah, especially as like if you're reading a book that's too advanced, be like, oh my goodness, like, I don't understand this, and you just try to get some topics from that. Oh yeah, and then you just like get some easier topics like like dummy books, those dummy like
love the
yellow
dummy
page
books.
books. Oh, I love those.
Whoever invented those,
The genius.
keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep doing it because
Oh yeah.
there's a lot of self-proclaimed dummies out here, and I'm definitely one of them.
Well, yeah, like a dummy is just basically a beginner book, but it just makes it sound more fun. It's like, oh, you're a dummy.
You're a
But look, we'll get you.
We're gonna undummy you.
We're gonna undummy you, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, but basically you're just doing a kind of a thing that Bruce Lee, he's quoted, but I'm not sure if he actually did it. But it's like take what is useful and discard the rest.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like you don't need all this other fluff because like basically all the important stuff in a book can be summed down to like 10, 20 pages.
Exactly.
Just 10, 20 pages. Like there's the thesis of it, there's the main bulk of it, but he spreads it over a book to make it actually like.
Yeah, because no publisher is going to want to publish a 10-page book. They're going to be like, what is this?
You're gonna get through it too quick. You're just gonna return it afterwards.
Exactly. And some people think it's like the amount of information you're getting,
That's the quality.
but it's the quality of information. Like, there's a book that I read. It's called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and that is a very easy read. For some people, they would fly through it. But if you're not absorbing the information, it could be super, super easy and super surface level. But it took me a while to read that book because every page was gold. Every sentence was like, got to the point, was direct. It had a profound effect on me, which is why it took so long to read the book. But I mean, it just goes to say, like you were saying, you know, it's the quality of the content versus like the amount of it. Because I've read a lot of self-improvement, self-development books that talk about the same shit over and over and over again in 4 or 5 different chapters.
Make your bed.
And I'm like,
schedule.
okay, I got
Stay with
it.
the routine.
Morning routine, exercise, diet. But like, what about everything in between? What about those outliers? What about those people that aren't at that point in life? What if you need to learn how to float before you swim? You know, like, so it's the quality of the content.
I gotta add one more thing. It's the quality of the content of the book and how you put it into practice.
Practical application.
See, you can be a genius, but if you don't prove it and if you don't do actionable steps that prove that you're a genius, like if you're a genius, I know how to solve calculus 3 problems, but if you don't do the work and show that you know how to do it, who's gonna believe you? Who's gonna believe you? You don't even believe yourself. Like, oh, I know how to do calculus 3. Do it. Do this problem. No.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Things like, if you're learning some quality information, you have to take that knowledge, you have to understand it. You have to understand it so much that you can teach it to somebody else and be like, okay, I understand it now, and I can actually be a mentor to somebody else to them to understand it and then reciprocate to it's like a perpetual cycle. And with that information, you have to embody it and do it. Because action,
Just do it.
it's like action comes before motivation, but there's action becomes for knowledge and information and motivation, because motivation is never consistent.
Is like,
It's never consistent.
It's like that little glimmer. It's like inspiration, they go hand in hand. It's that little glimmer of thing that like sparks you and gets you going. But it is discipline and it is action that keeps it consistent.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the biggest things, because I've definitely been in a time where I'm like, oh, well, I don't feel really inspired to do
This ties
this.
in so well into a book I just read. It's called The Compound Effect. And let me actually search it up.
Yeah.
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Now, this guy, he makes some great points. This is a book that is packed full of good information that I actually didn't realize. Because I knew about the compound effect, about trying to get 1% better every day, and being consistent. Consistent is key. Like same thing with like a Roth IRA. Basically, it's like same thing with investment accounts, where if you just put an amount every month or every day, same amount, just consistently, by the time you retire, you're a millionaire. Basically, if you just do a minimal amount of consistent effort over a period of time, it is significant work. It is life-changing. It is practically world-changing if you can stay consistent at long enough.
It's like that one saying that's like, if you lay a brick every single day, eventually you will build a house, right? And that's the same concept. It's the same concept. You just got to lay down that damn brick every single day and just show up. That's literally the hardest part. It's just showing up and doing the work and just acting on it. So that's what we're going to wrap up with today. I guess it's just taking action and stop sitting on whatever you think about doing about doing, and just do it.
Just a lesson to take away from this is, action comes before motivation. There's a book that I have to read still, but it's called Ready, Fire, Aim. So basically, the premise is take action before you have a perfect plan set out, because you'll figure it out in the way. It's not like Your help is to redirect yourself. You can always change course and like alter your plan. It doesn't have to be
You can
perfect.
always pivot. You can always
It doesn't
pivot.
have to be perfect
It's just
when you
being
start.
on the journey.
And just continuing putting the work. And like you realize down the line, you make more information, with more experience, with more knowledge. You're like, oh, I can course correct a little bit, and then you're on the path, and you course correct a little bit more. You know, like, did you expect yourself to be here 5 years ago?
No.
Exactly, because you course corrected through those 5 years.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Same with me. I didn't expect myself to be in a library, in a recording studio booth, recording a podcast. 5 years ago, I was thinking of becoming a professional soccer player.
I remember
Now
those
I'm here.
days. I know. I never thought you'd be here with me, but here we are, Dweez.
Yeah.
But
Well,
very thankful. But
thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. You can find this on Spotify.
And protect the pit bulls.
Yeah, protect the pitfalls. You can find this episode on. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, and hopefully we can get this episode out soon. So.
All right. I can't wait to talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Peace out.